Hey everybody, it's Cynda Sales and welcome to our weekly coaching. So today we're going to talk about how to work with buyers. And so let's pretend like, let's not pretend you're new. Let's pretend you're just an agent that's maybe been in the business for a little while or maybe new. And you got a buyer. So maybe you got a lead from your broker or somebody referred someone to you and you're like, what do I do? The first thing that you want to do is get on the phone with that person and not interview them, but actually make the appointment for a buyer consultation. I can't begin to tell you how important that is to have a buyer consultation. I'll tell you this, I've got 100% track record on that. So when I sit down to have that conversation and interview with that buyer, the outcome is always they buy a house sometime. They're going to either buy now or they're going to buy later, but it always happens. And here's why. The buyer consultation, you make the appointment, you talk to them and you say, okay, what are you looking for? La, la, la. Let's get together in my office at 2 o'clock on Monday. Fine. You sit down with them in a nice environment, in a casual environment with them. And I actually have a piece of paper, which I will include as a download on my website that you can pull up that has all the things that you would ask. But when we're sitting there, I'm just like, of course I have their contact information, email addresses, phone numbers, but then I ask them, what is it that you guys are looking for? Are we looking for a 3-bedroom house? How many bedrooms? How many baths? What areas of town are you looking for? What's your time frame to buy? Do you need to sell a house? Now that may be something you ask them on the phone. And then that's kind of a different conversation, but say they don't. And do you have a lender? Do you have someone that you want to work with? Or if they don't, you need to provide them 3 names of people that you worked with and had success with. And then basically what I do, I have a little booklet that I give them, because I will tell you that if they've never bought a home before, and I can talk until I'm blue in my face, they look like deers in headlight. Because they're just like, their eyes are glazed over with this. It's like, oh, too much information. So you don't have to tell them about the whole process. You don't have to tell them how the whole transaction is going to go, inspections, appraisal, all that. You can, if they ask you, and maybe they've done a little research on the internet, you can give them tips and information. So say, for instance, they say, well, how do we buy the house? Well, I have the information. I'm going to upload this into MLS. I'm going to start sending you search criteria based on what you told me of what you want, and then once you see a house that you like, we're going to go out and look at it. And I don't want you to bother and worry too much about the contract and all those things, because I'm going to take you step by step with this as we go through the process. But I'm looking out for you. My job is to represent you. Don't forget at that time to get your buyer agency signed, because remember, we have to represent a seller or a buyer, and when you're working with a buyer, you want to represent them. So make sure you explain to them thoroughly on the buyer agency. Now, you don't have to read every word of the contract, but you need to make sure that they understand how this works, that you represent them, if there's a fee associated with it, if they're going to be looking for sale by owners and how that works. Everything that I think money is really important for them to understand. If there's money and that they're going to be paying for some of this out of pocket, they need to understand and know these things. So there is no questions or misunderstandings. There's nothing worse than getting a frantic call from a buyer telling them they didn't understand. What is this? I don't know, because you didn't tell them. So a buyer consultation is your first and biggest, foremost way to get your buyers going in the right direction. And you do that, the rest of it will fall into place. You'll have wonderful, beautiful buyers that will send you business forever. So thanks for stopping by. You can always reach out to me for downloadables on my website, but also for one-on-one coaching. You can call me at 816-365-9807 or on my on my email at cynda@cyndasales.com. Thanks for stopping by.